Every day, we see how severe weather and rising sea levels are affecting people in developing and developed countries. It's time we had an honest conversation about our planet and take action to combat one of the world's most pressing challenges, climate change.
Over the past 5 years, the United Nations Global Pulse Initiative has partnered with companies across many industries to discover how insights from their privacy-protected data can be used to measure and improve human well-being. Effective action requires timely feedback. When it comes to climate action, what we can't do is wait until the impacts of our behaviors show up in irreversible changes to the climate system. Acting on what we now know will require a better understanding of ourselves, our awareness of risk, our patterns of consumption and production, and what motivates us to be willing to change how we lead our lives.
We just have more data that companies are collecting, whether it's transactional data about what we buy, whether it's social media information about what we observe, that's going to simply give us a much more granular picture of climate change across the globe. But if we really want to solve the problems that we face today, climate change, terrorism, inequality, we need the data that's not only held by government, but also data that sits in private hands, which is vastly more numerous than the data that we collect in the public sector.
By the end of 2016, we'll have hit an unbelievable 3.77 zettabytes of data globally. And as we layer this information together, we start to see patterns in the aggregate data traces we leave behind as we go about our daily lives. In the private sector, companies have been using data to remain competitive and adapt to changing conditions. We can use that same methodology in the public sector for addressing pressing global issues like climate change.
We have things like mobile phone operators, telecoms, that collect a great deal of information that can help us understand migration patterns, population movements. And with that data in hand, we can do things like better track disease and how it migrates.
Data for Climate Action is a call by the United Nations to researchers around the world and companies with relevant data to develop solutions for urgent action on climate change. We see tremendous opportunity in all of this data to understand in real time whether our approaches to climate change are actually working.
So I think the wave of the future is to combine public sources of data with private, what we call data collaboratives, work together between talented people in different sectors, in companies, in universities, and in governments to tackle problems in new ways.
To achieve sustainable development, we must harness this real-time ocean of digital data. You are the key to our tomorrow.
The time is now.
Will you rise to the challenge?